Hey, what's up? This is Coach T. Collins.
It's Coach MJ.
And welcome to About That Life podcast, where we talk about basketball, life, and everything in between. Thank you guys again for those who are supporting. We incredibly appreciate it. I'm going to ask if you're checking this out, you like, share, subscribe. Please destroy that like button, incinerate it. I can't think of any other good pronouns right now, but do what you can. It helps with the algorithm. It helps support us. Again, one small click for you is a big help to us. It's the new year, right? We made it.
Yes, sir. 2021.
We made it, man. For those who are listening, obviously you made it too. So congratulations. No, I'm not trying to be insensitive to everybody who didn't make it, but still, it is one of them things, man. It's survival of the fittest right now because that's how Governor Newsom has me feeling. But no, in all seriousness, no, I'm glad we're in the new year and hopefully things will progressively get better. Obviously, we have, just a couple current events in the world. Is the vaccines getting pushed out there? First-line workers getting hit up with it. Some of our government officials, obviously, have been getting the vaccines, which, we'll just wait and see what happens. Schools are trying to open back up. And, again, I'm mainly speaking for California. They're trying to open back up. I know in other parts of the country things are going like normal. You go to Florida, you would never guess we're in a pandemic right now because they live in life to the fullest. Them and ATL are like, fuck it. We ain't stopping nothing. So I think that's where James Harden goes every weekend.
That's where he goes to train.
Yeah, go see his personal trainers in Florida and Atlanta. But no, we made it to episode 15. It's been a great deal, kind of something I know I've said on previous shows, just recurringly, is we wanted to get Sir Tetris back here. Sir Tet. Sir Emo Tet, Amin Ra. Yeah, we definitely wanted to get him back on because he was our first guest. Yep. If you want to learn more about his background, I'm not going to get too much into that because we have a whole episode dedicated to that. So please go check that out. Yeah, exactly. Please go check that out.
No more origin story.
But it is great to have him here, having a college coach kind of give his perception on the COVID and everything, and we'll elaborate into that more. But it's great to have you back, sir. So
appreciate it, Chris.
No problem. Good to see you, man. And also, he's a longtime friend of mine, in case you guys didn't already figure that out from before. But let's get right into it. How are things at Jessup? How's the season thus far?
Amazing.
Yeah,
we our record isn't amazing.
Okay.
But we're amazing. So yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that. So if you wanted to see the record, JessupAthletics.com/women's basketball. So if you want to check the record out, you can go ahead and do that on there.
500, under 500.
I mean, you can go on the website and check
Okay.
I like that.
See how we doing.
Very good political answer. Very good. So let's get into the navigating COVID. How has your team approached navigating COVID-19?
So a lot of schools are kind of doing the same exact thing. So everybody's testing. Some schools are opting not to.
Okay.
And that comes to this.
That's an option. I didn't even know that was like.
Yeah, for NCAA, it's not an option.
Right.
Like you have to.
Right.
If you're NCAA, because they're not dealing with none of that legal stuff. But NAIA, they're leaving it up to the institution and the conferences to kind of figure out what they want to do.
Okay.
So we're testing, and we're getting tested quite a bit. So just so we can get out there and play, because at the end of the day, we don't know what the long-term effects of COVID-19 is really after an athlete responds back from it or comes back from it. So we're doing everything we can to not put them in a position where they actually can get COVID. So whether that's, not just physical distancing, but like, potting with each other when they're living in their dorms.
Right.
Making sure that when we're on road trips, we're only going to specific spots. Like we're not trying to go all over the city. We're traveling together. Just doing everything we possibly can to make sure we're as safe as possible. So, I mean, we've been navigating it pretty well. I mean, for a school that doesn't have a budget for like a whole lot of COVID testing, we've been making it work. So, yeah, we've been doing our job.
And then your head coach this year, just doing a little research about him. This is his first year, though, right? Yeah.
First year at Jessup.
I mean, I'm not trying to get you fired or nothing, but
Wow.
I'm just saying how.
Wow.
No, I'm saying like how's because you know when you talk about your boss and some could take it the wrong way, but no, I'm just saying how's that experience been in that relationship with him so far?
It's been great. Actually, we live together, so it's pretty dope.
okay.
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
So,
so you really get to know.
yeah,
each other.
we've got to know each other quite well actually. So he spent 7 years at Duke, and then he coached in the G League. He's been overseas coaching professional basketball, so he's been like all over everywhere.
Yeah,
and
I've seen him around.
Yeah.
In the gym and stuff. I haven't said hello to him because I know you guys are doing your thing,
Yeah.
usually coaching. But
And
no, he seems like a cool
cat.
cat.
Say something to him all the time because he's
Yeah.
cool. He's a good
Yeah.
dude. So he came over here. He wanted to be close to the family. He wanted to do something different than like the Power 5 conference stuff. And so it's been amazing because you literally get the experience that you would get at like those big Division I schools, like at the NAIA level, which is almost impossible. Like you don't really get those. So I'm trying to help a lot of the young ladies understand, like, you say you want to play Division I, or you were Power 5, or whatever you say you were, like, you're literally getting it every day from him, from us, like everything. So that's one of the recruiting things we tell them. It's like, look, y'all want to go play D1, that's great, but like sometimes you're not going to play on those D1 teams, even though you're on the team. You know you're going to play here, and you're going to help us win a national championship at the end of the day, and you get that experience. So one of the things he says is the only difference between like Duke and us is the ESPN contract. Like we do everything exactly the same. We work just as hard. We lift. We do all that stuff. We don't have multi-million-dollar facilities, but
The baskets are still the same.
the baskets are still the same. The
amount of
courts
feet.
are still
Right.
exactly. So you're gonna get that same experience with us. You know what I mean? So it's been dope, man. He's amazing.
Wow,
really
that's
good.
good. I've been peeping your guys' schedule too.
Yeah.
I know I talked about it a few episodes when you guys played against University of Reno.
Yeah.
And you guys lost by 1.
Yep.
Right.
Wow,
so
man.
that was when AC had a good
She
game.
went
So
off.
yeah. So and we've been talking, but I'm just saying overall, you guys been playing a really good competitive schedule, like a lot of D1s and stuff like that. I know we talked about prior to the show all the travel and stuff. Just wanted you to kind of elaborate on all that.
It's been crazy. Our goal is to play between 5 to 8 D1s every single year. So, for us, it's an opportunity for them to see what it's going to take to win a national championship. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you're going to have to play crazy schedules. So, for example, we played 5 schools in 7 days. Right, so that's our national tournament. Before, it was exact same setup. We had to play 5 games in 7 days.
Yes,
So
yes.
like we're telling them like this is what it's going to feel like. We have to perform literally every single night.
You get banged up and you got to suck that shit up and get ready
So-
for the next one.
And so we went from Jessup. We drove down to Southern California, went to Riverside, played Cal Baptist University, really good school. They actually used to be an NAIA school.
Yeah, I remember that.
They went to D2, then they went D1. They're killing it. Played them. Drove to Southern Utah, played Southern Utah the next day.
Wow.
Then drove to Utah Valley, played them the next day. Then drove to Idaho like that next day as our road trip. We practiced that night, and then we played College of Idaho the following 2 nights in a row. And we drove back from Idaho, from Caldwell, Idaho, all the way back.
That's 7 days, right?
7 days.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and we crossed 4 states the whole time.
Wow.
Bro.
That sounds kind of fun as a player.
It was dope. Spent the whole week. Like it was fun.
No, that's great. I mean, I want to say, has COVID made it kind of easier to make these schedules, or has it made it more difficult? Like, or is it just pretty much all the same?
Yeah, it's so when we played Southern Utah and Utah Valley, that was actually supposed to be Utah Valley was supposed to I think be on the second, that we were supposed to play them on the second, and so like that didn't end up happening. We said, okay, we want to give these girls a bigger break, so we're gonna play them back to back to back, and that was tough.
Okay.
So like some schools have to postpone the games because they might have like a contact tracing thing, so they'll just have to wait until they see if they get the 2 negatives in a row.
Yeah.
So we've seen that happen, but like I mean, it hasn't been difficult because teams are like, we just want to play,
Right.
and we're just like, well, we're available on these dates. If we can figure out how we can make it logistically, we'll make it work.
Nice.
So it hasn't been too crazy, but I'm also not doing all the scheduling.
That's
so
true.
For me, it's great.
Right,
I'm just like, yeah, I'll drive.
Right.
But for
Exactly.
The other administration, they're like, yeah, it's having to change flights and not getting money back for hotels and stuff. Like it's a lot that money that gets put into it that we don't really think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, no, that's shit. That sounds good. I'm glad. Well, I'm glad overall you guys are even having a season because, like I'm a high school coach and we ain't, I still don't think that shit's happening.
Did you see the thing that California CIF put out? Like it was.
I didn't see the CIF. I did see the now extending. I was going to get in that later in the show, but just talk about that. Governor Newsom came out. They're still extending the stay-at-home order. So who still looks like technically we can't even get out the house till February.
Yeah, and so like that. I was looking at on Twitter. I think it was, and the CIF put out something that talked about like the types of sports that are like higher contact and the ones that aren't. So like if you're in a specific color zone or whatever it is, then you can do your sport. And for basketball, it's like you have to basically, there has to be no COVID cases and we have to be back to normal to play basketball. Like it was almost impossible for that. I was like, well, no basketball season, I guess. You know what I mean? So it was crazy, man. Like,
well, Mark, get ready to do a lot of training.
Ain't
gonna be no break, bro.
I ain't mad about it.
It was wild, man.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. This year is gonna be interesting. Just I'm hoping a lot of positive in 21. I'm just trying to be hopeful.
It has to be. Yeah, we went through 20, man. That was crazy.
Exactly. I wanted to talk about your AAU girls team.
Yeah.
Because they kind of fascinate me just thinking about it overall. And Mark, I'll kind of give you the quick rundown.
Mm-hmm.
He has he's essentially him and Coach Shaw. And
Coach Leah, we got to put her in there.
Oh, Coach Leah.
Coach Leah, she's
yes.
Anyways,
I was going to get to that.
Messing you up, Chris? You have a thing
a little bit
right now?
Yo, no, I wasn't having a thing. I was just trying to.
My bad.
You're ruining the show, man.
Okay, wow. You know why? But you know why I'm doing this? Chris, you know why I'm doing this?
Why are you doing this?
One, I didn't get my water like you told me.
My
you gave
God.
me the water last night.
I told you the first time you're a guest. Part 2, you're just part of the show now.
No,
so.
and then part 2, there's no green M&Ms.
But you have headphones now.
I got the peanut butter M&Ms.
But you have headphones now. We
M&Ms.
upgraded.
And then,
if you look at the video, the walls were empty as fuck when you were in here. Now there's actually stuff behind you and everything. So
I was the guinea pig.
Yes, you were.
And then so the. And the third was, yes, the headphones. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Because I couldn't hear myself. I felt like I was screaming the whole time. I felt I was talking over here. I couldn't hear myself. You know what I mean? So it was like, it kind of was where it was. So.
But it works out now, right?
I mean, whatever, man.
See, this is how you know we're friends.
He didn't get his water.
God, okay.
I didn't get my water.
All right.
Shout out to my non-sponsor Hydro Flask. See it? Okay. Anyways.
What I was going to say was you and Mike Shaw pretty much handle the YBA girls division at this point. I mean, obviously unofficially, yeah. You help out a lot. Our girls program is succeeds because of a lot of the stuff you do. There's just no doubt about that. And yes, Coach Leah, what I was going to mention with her is the things she's been doing for YBA, just helping out with like recovery for Anthony and helping the athletes learn how to take care of their bodies and then helping you out with the girls team. And what was really unique, Mark, with his girls team is they're all young. They're all very young. But he plays them at 17U.
Yep.
But he has Harper, who's more than likely going to be a D1 6'3", 6'4" guard.
Whatever.
How old is she right now?
14. She'll be 15 in a couple weeks, I think, or a week or something.
Mm-hmm. And then Jamila, right? Yep. I connected him with her mom because me and her mom were throwback friends. Shout out to Frankwell.
Frankwell.
She breeds D1 athletes.
The whole family got D1.
Yeah, her son is at I forgot what university. Yeah, there you go. I mean, she has like 5 kids and they're all like D1 athletes. Wow. But then her husband was a D1 athlete. Her husband's name is Jeremiah Farms. Okay. And her ex-husband, sorry, but they were when they were together. But he was a well-known in SAC for his football and everything, and I think now he's a UFC fighter and makes a bunch of money with that. But again, genetically they just work and breed these top-level athletes, and so she's about to be a freshman, right?
Yeah, she is one right now.
And she's
14.
That's your point guard, right? Or,
starting point guard.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he's having them compete at the 17U level, but the thing is, you know, they're winning. I mean, yeah, they're losing sometimes.
Oh, we
too,
take our lumps.
Yeah,
for sure.
but they're winning.
Take our lumps. Yeah.
And what I really want to talk to you about that is like, not too many coaches. I mean, some coaches take that side, and you kind of do it as a trainer with your side when you had your young guys going against Marcus and all that and getting their ass kicked, and now they're at that point, right? They're playing good. I was just kind of interested in your perspective, having like, how do you keep these young girls going again, keeping them in mind that, hey, because you're going against 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, you know, maybe 16, whatever the case may be. You're going against these juniors and seniors, and you know, you're going to take these 50-point L's, 40-point L's. You're going to, you know, get your ass kicked. And with girls, you know how hard it is to not get them to quit or not give them to give up. Like, what have you learned through this process, and what have you done?
Not put emphasis on winning or losing. Like win or loss. Like, I don't get too high or too low about winning or losing, and most of it is because I understand, like, a 14-year-old mind doesn't understand what I know. So like, we've taken our L's in open gyms all the time, gotten our butts kicked. We've been part of people crossing us and we fall over. We've had all that stuff. But like, when we go to open gyms, we have somebody like our teammates that are supportive, you know. And so I found out most kids don't have coaches who are willing to walk with them through that. They have coaches who are like, you're going to win this game. If it, you know what I mean, it's going to mean the world to you. And I'm like, I'm not into that. Like, you're 14 years old, 15, 16. You need to learn how to take L's and then what you need to do to get better. And that's all I focused literally on this whole time. And so, you know, it was a transition for a lot of them because they would look at the scoreboard all the time, which I want you to compete. I want you to work hard. Like, I need that from you, but there's a way to play basketball that's like the right way for your team. Doesn't mean it's the right way like all the time, but for who you have on the team, that's the right way to play. So sometimes it might be jacking up shots all the time because you got nobody else on your team that can shoot. So that might be you. You know what I mean? Or you might need to get everybody else involved because you can go score 30, but then everybody's standing and watching. So and I don't care who we play. Like, a lot of times the kids would be like, who we play? I'm like, I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest, because it's about what you can control. You know what I mean? So I put a heavy emphasis on that. And like I was saying in the beginning, on the last interview, like, I was like, there's 3 things. I want you to get ready for high school, get your skill set better, and then get ready for college if that presents itself. And that's all we've literally done this whole time. So they're such a tight-knit group for coming from all different backgrounds. Like, they're super tight to each other. And I watch them socially, like on social media, they're all tagging each other and doing stuff. It's super dope to see. Yeah. And we, like I said, you would think like we were a type of team that just wins all the time just because of how close they are. That had nothing to do with winning. Right. Like, nothing. They come like an hour and a half early before practice starts. They're just chilling, talking to each other. Nice. You know what I mean? So I'm like, that type of stuff to me is what's more important than the putting the points on the board and stuff. Like, that's way more important to me than that. Because now they're lifelong friends. You know what I mean? And they'll work hard. Like, I'll work hard for you. You'll work hard for me. Like, we work hard for each other because we know each other. We understand what each other wants to do in life. So we're going to work really hard for each other. That's what we focused with them on.
I love that. Yeah. Love that a lot.
I like that.
Yeah, but it hasn't been easy though. Like,
you can't
drive to Idaho and then have that same mentality. Yo, we went up there a couple of times, got smacked. I was like, well, they were just better than us guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do the same exact thing again, but you know, they're better than us. And so, like, the cool thing, like, so for example, I'll give you one story. Like, we played Salt Lake Metro, and they had this girl who signed to Dixie State, super good player. She's like 6'4", is like big. You know what I mean? We got destroyed by her, just absolutely demolished. Right? We went up there next time, and like 30 days later, really, and we went up and played the same exact team, and I forgot how much we beat them by, but it was like dominant. You know what I mean? So like, to see that growth from one time to the next was like everything for me. Like, we could lose every single game from there, but like, you played an opponent who was bigger, stronger, faster than you, and you dominated that game. Like, that was, to me, what mattered the most. You know what I mean?
That's growth. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Well, putting all that aside, just what's your aspirations? I mean, and your end goal. I mean, we talked about it, I think, before your episode now, but you know, it's months later and whatnot. Have you kind of reevaluated and thought kind of the long-term process for you as a college coach and things like that?
Not really. You know, I was thinking about that today because I listened to a couple like just entrepreneurial business stuff all the time, and they talk about like when you're making an impact on people's lives, like how that can morph into other things, and just having a clear vision of who you want to become. And really, I just want to help women's basketball because, like, again, we talked about it before with me going to see the Sacramento Monarchs and seeing them hoop and stuff. Like, I really wanted to take what that high level stuff looked like and make it like palatable for little kids,
right.
or, you know, junior high, high school, whatever, because they're not given that and they don't see it every single day. Like the NBA, like they do a great job at doing behind the scenes. So like young guys get a chance to see what it is.
Absolutely.
We know like it's not always like that everywhere.
Right,
so if the women's side did that way more, like it would be dope to see where women's game would really go. So like I'm trying to do that as much as I can, get in those environments so I can bring that back as much as I can. And I don't know if that's going to make me, you know, a whole lot of money. I don't know what that's going to look like.
Like you said, you're just taking it one day at a time. No, that's what's up.
That's
sick.
Well, I wanted to talk about just a quick rundown too. Do they have different COVID protocols at different levels? Like you kind of mentioned, and we were talking about before the show, but like protocols for D1, D2, or NCAA. You know what I mean? Like, you got a quick rundown of how that works?
Yeah. So what we've been told, at least, is that when we play Division I schools, you have to have 3 tests in that week or within 7 days, basically, to play the team, and they all have to be negative, right?
Okay.
So they have a PCR test, which gives you they do a prick of your finger to make sure that or to see if you've had the COVID at some point within the last 90 days.
Yeah.
And that tests that, and then they also go up your nose as well. And then they have the 2 antigen tests that allows you to know if, and that's more rapid. That gives it within 10 minutes. And that lets you know if you have COVID or not as well, or if you're, you know, positive or whatever. So like we typically how it goes is like if we have to play a game on like Saturday and you have to get that 7-day window ish, we'll test on like Sunday. The PCR one, that's typically like a 48-hour or whatever turnaround. And then we'll test like so if you test on Sunday, then we'll wait Monday, Tuesday, we'll test again on Wednesday, and then we'll test again on Friday, the day before we play the team on Saturday. So it's 3 times getting poked in the nose, and it's not like, it's different. Like I've had aggressive people, I've had not aggressive people,
right.
But at the end of the day, it's just like it's going to be uncomfortable. So it's like I kind of got over it. Everybody makes a big deal out of it. I'm like, look, it's going to happen. What I begin to do now is I look at the person who's actually poking me in the nose. I just give them eye contact the whole time to make it feel super weird.
Man, like if I'm gonna feel awkward, your ass about to feel awkward too.
Super awkward. You know what I mean? So I give eye contact the whole time, just so I can make some.
That's pretty good.
Like, otherwise, it's gonna be uncomfortable, man.
I can see you doing that for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds like you.
Have that picture.
It's just like this. Looking right at him.
The whole time. The whole time. It's great.
Well, switching gears, I wanted to talk about the NBA. I want to go. Obviously, how many games are we in right now? 6, 7, maybe. Somewhere around there. I mean, almost to 10. Let's just put it like that. We're almost to 10 games.
Season started on Christmas, so
That's true.
Almost to 10 games. A lot of interesting narratives. A lot of different things to talk about. I obviously want to narrow the field to mainly, I guess I would say, the bigger topics. Yeah. And again, whether you guys watch these teams or not, I think we kind of all still gloss or see it at some point and have a thought process. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the Wizards and the Warriors. Yeah. Both teams actually, because they're both in this weird, in my opinion, these weird narratives where, okay, so the Wizards, just to understand them, they are the second worst defensive team in the NBA.
That's crazy.
But you look at their roster, and it's very talented. It is a very like if you look player for player, it's not like a bad lineup. Now, granted, you don't look at them and go, "Oh, they're going to be champions," but you look at it, and it's like they're pretty fucking competitive, right? But they're the second worst defensive team behind the clear. They're like a half a point away from the Cavaliers.
Wow. And their Cavaliers are like top of they haven't lost yet or something like that, right?
No,
they're 8-0 or I don't know.
Yeah, are they? I don't know. I know Phoenix is fucking killing it right now. Yeah, they're like, I only think they're like 6-1 or 5-1.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I know, but yeah, defensively, the Wizards are terrible. But you have Beasley, Bradley Beal. Beasley, Bradley Beal, who just I mean, he's scoring out of his mind.
I think he's like second in the league in scoring.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know, Westbrook's still averaging his triple-double. He's actually going back more to his mid-range game, less than his three. But Scott, I hate to say, because you never want to, as a coach, I never want to blame a coach, but I really don't think Scott Brooks he's doing a lot of ISOs on a team that I don't think needs that type of continuity.
Yeah.
But that's just my thoughts. I don't know if you guys had any other thoughts on it with the Wizards.
And they're older guys, so like you ISO them the whole year, like that's gonna wear them down for sure. You have with veteran older players, the ball gotta move faster because they're not gonna move nearly as fast, and like people know where they're gonna get their shots from, so they're gonna take all that stuff away. So the ball gotta move real fast. And Scott Brooks, like he had talent like back in the day.
Yeah,
so,
OKC.
You would think he would get some options.
But see, that's what it kind of reminds me of. The same ISO ball he was doing basically with LKC. ISO moments, I should say, was between Kevin Durant, James Harden as a six man, and Westbrook. Yeah, but those guys are 20-something, so they could sustain that level of it. It's very reminiscent of that. So I don't know. I think he's going to run into some big problems if he doesn't figure that out.
I thought this, and I actually thought, who did I think this for? Oh, for KD and Kyrie. This is what I thought. So I heard the story that Phil Jackson would tell MJ and Kobe, like, you have the first 3 quarters, the triangle is going to run itself. Like, that's your job, is to keep it flowing. And then the fourth quarter, 12 minutes, just go crazy. Like, I'm not going to say nothing. You go get your buckets, do whatever you do, right? I almost think it should be the same thing for these superstars, like for Bradley Beal and Russ. Like, look, the first half, because these guys, they want to get involved, right? So the first half, I get everybody involved, set the table, right? Third quarter, you guys pick who's going to go off. Like, if it's Bradley, you're going to go off in the third, and then Russ, you end it, great. If it's the flip-flop, if, like, Russ needs to go off in the third, and then Bradley needs to finish it, because Bradley Beal is a good finisher. Like, he'll finish a game for you. Like, this is our closer, and Russ, you start the whole thing. Then that might be a great formula for them. Now, I don't know if they have those conversations or not, but like that might be a good idea. Like, same thing with KD. I'm like, yo, I tell KD, you own the third quarter. Like, that's you. You get everybody involved first, get a couple buckets here and there to keep the offense flowing. But like third quarter KD, that's all you. Third, get 20 in third. You know what I mean? And Kyrie, you do your magic and in the game and
win the game.
You know, we'll move on to the next game.
I think it's possible. Like, I can see, because it's still very early for a 72 game season. And, and the way I'm looking at it is, there's a reason why, in a way, Westbrook chose to go to Washington. Besides playing with Bradley Beal, he knows he's going back to a coach he played for, who's going to let him do his thing. And then from there, they are in the East. Westbrook is in the East now. So there's a better chance of, even though the East has gotten better, a better chance of them making the playoffs. You know, and then at the same time, you know, he can go back to averaging a triple-double. And what to me, because I still think it's early, I feel like they're still learning how to play together, is that what Westbrook did for Paul George the time when he was with OKC. Paul George was MVP candidate. Most, you know, one of his highest averages. I see that for Bradley Beal playing, because to me, it's just they're still figuring it out. Beal's still getting his points. And
it is very early. I do want to agree with you there. It is still early.
And Russ is trying to see how he can fit in, because to me, Beal is the closer on that team.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like that's where it's going. Like, they're trying to figure things out, because, like you said, if you really think about it, it's only those two on that team. It's not like they got a third option, or they have that one rookie from overseas who's pretty good, who's like top 10, the European kid. But at the end of the day, it's going to be kind of like, if you think about the East, you know, Embiid and Simmons, Kyrie, and
they're
KD.
Nice. Like, Philly is real good.
Like, for sure.
Really
with
good.
Doc too.
Oh my God. If you don't win a championship or get to the finals, I'm sorry. Like,
Well, we're gonna talk about the Clippers, because they looking very strange too. But but I wanted but I wanted to talk about, of course, because this is my team, obviously, and
Bulls?
Of course,
Chicago Bulls?
No, false. And that's your team. And then, and of course, all is right in the universe, because everybody wanted to see this light skinned motherfucker fail, and that's you know, the Warriors. You know what I mean? They are definitely a victim of the basketball NBA. What's the term? It's recentism or recently something, some term where they basically say people only remember what you did, like the fact. the fact that Steph Curry, people are literally like basking in joy that Steph Curry has to struggle. Like they're like, yeah, see, he can't do it on his own. Try to beat LeBron. How is he unanimous MVP? I mean, you see the comments, you see the, I watch the sports announcement. I'm like, damn, that is crazy to me. Like this, it's that much. But again, why are we gonna really ignore the fact that this day and age in basketball, you cannot win with one superstar on an NBA team. Nobody can. Nope. Nobody can. I'm sorry. Like I like Lillard, but that's one of his fatal flaws is the loyalty he has to the Blazers. Not knocking CJ because he's a very talented guy, but let's be real, he's not a superstar. We know the difference between a star player, an all-star, and a superstar. There are tiers to this shit. There are levels to this shit. You cannot. This is an NBA nowadays. You cannot win with one superstar. Right. You can't. Even the complementary pieces have to be all-stars. Those all-stars are your complementary pieces. Before you could have a star starter. Like if you want a definition of a star starter like Steve Kerr, Ron Harper, if you want to go back to the Chicago Bulls.
Which, by the way, was terrible past like the 8th man. They had nobody. Right. Like, they were really, really bad from 8 all the way to 15.
I agree.
They were really bad.
Totally agree with you. So it's just like, but now in this NBA, you can't have a star starter and that be enough. And essentially, that's what Steph Curry stuck with. Because you lost 50% of your shooting power with Klay Thompson, and you're going prayers up to you, brother, like with the torn Achilles, because, for one, I definitely have a heart for that one. But you're not going to win. So it's just really funny. I don't know. It's very interesting to me to see the reactions of people saying like, see, he can't do it. He shouldn't have got MVP. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think a lot of it too is, when especially that dynasty that you guys had where y'all were whooping everybody's ass. Like blowout.
Absolutely.
So to see y'all getting blowout now.
Exactly.
that's what's happening.
Right.
Y'all getting killed.
True.
I feel like everybody's looking at it like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? Like finally getting your own medicine. You know what I'm saying?
No, but the Warriors have been getting that for years.
For real, was it like?
So it's like, what?
That's true too.
And they did, but to be fair, they did create their, outside of the KD trade, they created their star presence the natural way.
For sure.
They did it through the draft.
Yep.
They did it through some veteran acquisitions in Iguodala and Sean Livingston, because nobody thought Iguodala and Livingston and Bogut would have the careers. We even had Barbosa. We had the Brazilian Blur after Phoenix. I mean, come on, they did it all the natural way. It was just the 1 year when 2 years once we got KD, and they really took on their persona that people like, fuck them.
And I think it also shows, how important Curry and Klay are two different individuals, but at the end of the day, it shows how much Curry needs Klay, because that's the offense. Curry is now getting double teamed, focused on when somebody has to focus on Klay, Curry's doing his thing. So now, because Draymond's not that. He's not like that.
No.
Kelly Oubre, Wiggins are not like that.
Oh,
so
way too young.
Definitely I'm not a fan of Wiggins on the Warriors. I'm just not, man. It doesn't make any sense, to be honest.
He was number 1 pick, too.
It was just crazy.
Number 1. But I think it shows that, like, how important Klay is for Curry as well. It's like, you have those two just running around. What the hell are you going to do?
Exactly.
Now it's just one guy, and you're watching Draymond waiting to pass it. So that's what it is. I mean, I like Wiseman, though. Wiseman's the future.
Wiseman,
that's one positive.
That is definitely, because, again, the Warriors organization have proven they are very savvy when it comes to drafting. Because, again, they build everything the natural way. And I was really happy with that Wiseman pick. People were like, well, why didn't we get Melo? What the fuck we need Melo for? Like, exactly. I was like, no.
You do not need Melo.
Go with Wiseman, and Wiseman's showing versatility. He's showing an ability to shoot and dribble. And again, he's very young. He's gonna have to learn, but man, the potential on that kid's great. So we'll see how that plays out. James Harden. Just quick. Any predictions where he might go? Because there's so many teams that are talking there in the air. What do you guys predict?
I think he's staying in Houston. I don't think there's any team that's going to need his service, because, I mean, the reality is is that, I mean, somebody's obviously feeding him the information to do what he's doing, because nobody just chooses to. He didn't just do that all of a sudden. Like somebody's giving him that information, because he didn't do that before. He didn't have this track record of that. You know what I mean? So now he's all of a sudden making, he's always came in overweight. He's always been that. Like he's always. But he also got an old man game too. So it's kind of like he don't really need to be in shape. And in fact, if you look at everybody, like all the Europeans and all that stuff, they're playing their way into shape. They're not coming in shape. You know what I mean? Because they didn't really have like a training camp per se. So they're playing their way in shape, and he's not interested in instant results. But even he can still get 40 and be out of shape.
He gets 44 without even wanting to be on the team,
which is wild. But I think he's going to be on the team. But what I don't think is going to work is him and DeMarcus. Like, I don't think those two are going to work at all. Although DeMarcus kind of understands his role and responsibility, I watch his body language on the bench. It's bad, man. Like, you can tell, like, one, he wants to be in the game. Two, he knows. He's like, PJ Tucker, like, you really, playing against these post players, like, really, and so, like, I can tell he wants to be out there, but he also knows physically he's just limited. You know what I mean? And so, like, he fouls a lot. He has his history, so officials are doing what they're doing. But, like, I don't think that dynamic's going to work, because DeMarcus is not going to want to chill and
he's
just
an
watch
alpha.
you.
He's an alpha
he's
also.
not going to want to do that. On the other side, like, I think. I just don't think that dynamic's going to work, which is going to ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you, Mark?
I feel like Tet was saying, especially with DeMarcus, I feel like I said, it's so early.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to touch on nobody's toes. But Cousins, the way his personality is, he's an alpha.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what has happened to him.
Yeah.
I seen a video where he was him and Harden. It was a pick and roll situation. Harden was being lazy off the pick and roll, and Cousins was looking at him like, what the, because how Harden is sometimes on the defensive end. Yeah. He's looking at him because, he left Cousins out to dry. Like, and he just rolled his eyes and walked back. And that's contagious, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like if they really thought that Harden, John Wall, and Cousins were the future, that's not going to last.
Not going to last, man.
But the thing with Harden is, and you never know with the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I never fucking knew KD was going to go to the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I checked my phone, and it just shows how crazy the NBA is. But I just feel like with Harden, from everything I'm hearing from the 76ers to the Boston Celtics to possibly Miami, the Nets, you're going to have to give up, though, young talent, right? Especially with Boston. I've been hearing about Boston. Jaylen Brown has been playing really good, and Tatum as well. Are you really going to give up one of those guys for Harden?
Jaylen Brown's going to be gone before.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then 76ers, where, yes, Ben Simmons and Embiid have, you don't know what they're going to do, but are you really going to give up one of them for Harden?
Nope.
KD ain't going to give up his boy Kyrie to get Harden, and then even Miami. Are you going to give up Tyler Hero? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to, because you're going to have to, maybe you give up Jimmy Butler, but it's not going to just be Jimmy Butler. So that's the thing where I'm like, and especially how Harden has been kind of portraying himself. I don't even know if anybody wants to touch him. Especially for young talent, but you never know with the NBA, man. He might come to the Kings. Shoot, they might just give it. They might give De'Aaron Fox, everybody just to bring. You never know.
They need box office here. They need people that are going to put butts in the seats.
Exactly.
And,
well, see, and that's what I was going to allude to. I think because there's no crowds. Technically, right? I mean, your crowds are now either ESPN streaming services or cable. But yeah, like, with no crowds, I think that also raises a good question on why some of these trades and things might not happen, because they're like, normally, you would bring in box office, but there ain't no fucking box office because everything's shut down.
That's true.
That was just the last thing I wanted to touch up on too. Do you guys one of the last two things? Do you think that plays a factor? Having no crowds is why? Because there's been a lot of blowouts. Period. I mean, don't get me wrong. My Warriors been getting their ass kicked, but it's just weird. A lot of teams been getting blown out, period. And it's not necessarily always the weaker teams. It's just these odd scores, you know what I mean? Very, very few games are being played close. And I really feel like it's because there's no crowd. I just feel like because you get so accustomed to that, you go from being a high-level high school player full of crowds to a high-level AAU full of crowds. Like, we've all played in like a quiet gym. It's just odd. It just feels weird. You know what I mean? And then go especially a lot of these guys who do go to college, they play these D1s in packed houses, full of screaming arenas and college culture.
Yep.
You're in the NBA for years and years. You're used to 20,000, 10,000, 15,000 people in the crowd. Now you're at zero. Basically, you're essentially in a big empty fucking void.
Yep.
I know the NBA does a phenomenal job at trying to create the sound, trying to simulate, but
it's weird.
Right.
I've been like we play USF. And they pipe in the noise. It's eerie, dude.
Right.
It's
it doesn't.
crazy.
That's what I'm saying. You've been those D1s. You've been in those empty arenas. It has to feel.
Yeah.
It's just
weird.
different. And then again, of course, they say the players have to create their own energy, which I get. But I don't even think they can. I don't even think they can shake hands the right way. Or you know what I mean? It just feels like they all sitting socially distant on the bench, and I don't know.
Which is
man.
weird. If you're getting tested all the time, why are you socially distant?
Exactly.
That's true.
I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't get that. If everybody's negative and you playing, like why are you distanced?
I think a lot of the reason, because you're right about the blowouts. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think, in my opinion, because I know that because of COVID, so if, for example, I know that if Brooklyn is going to play Atlanta, they stay in Atlanta for 3 to 4 days to cut down the traveling. And I can tell, because I've been watching a lot of basketball, the first game is competitive.
Yeah.
They go back to the hotel, okay, we got to play them again. The energy is different. Where it's like, okay. And then you got the third game. Like, I can tell, even as a player, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're playing a team every single time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, today you blow me out. This day I blow you out.
You
know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of, besides, yes, of course, definitely the fans, you don't have, nobody to hype you up. But I think that also plays a part because they're trying to cut down the traveling of, if LA is going to go to play Dallas, they're going to be in Dallas for 3 to 4 days, you know what I'm saying, and play them. Because I'm noticing, like, when I'm watching the highlights, I'm like, didn't they just play Dallas yesterday?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know how to explain that, you know what I'm saying, knowing that, okay, you're not playing a new team tonight. You're playing the same person the next 3 to 4 nights.
It's almost like a playoff series every single time.
Yeah. And I think some of the players knowing that, okay, it ain't the playoffs. Right. You know how pros are, NBA players are like, I dropped 30 last night, let the other guys on the bench handle tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel that vibe when I'm watching some of these games. So, I don't know. I think that's because, the scores are kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's early, so I guess we'll.
Yeah.
Well, because okay, so the what I've learned is that they say it's a make or miss league, right? So like the game is literally key or 3. Like it's either you're getting to the cup, and the teams find a different way to do it. Like every team has their system of how you're gonna get the same shots. Right. Just like either gonna be a shot at the rim, or it's going to be a 3-point driving kick, or you're going to swing it somehow. Like, that's literally what it is. So, as pros, like, you already know that's where the shots are going to come from. It's just a matter of waiting until you get your shot.
Exactly.
You're going to make it. So, I think you see, everybody's competitive. They want to win. But, like, I think you see some of that, like, well, I know I'm going to get my shot at this point in the game because somebody's going to come in for this. I'm going to be the emphasis. I'm going to do my job on defense. So, I do whatever I got to do on offense. I got to make my 5 shots or 3 out of the 5 every single time. And I get my, $250,000 for the game. And I'm moving on. You know what I mean? Right. So, like, I think that's something to do with it. I don't know, like, to the extent. But, like, because I've never played in the NBA. I don't really know.
Right.
But, like, you watch and see how people play. At the professional level, like everything is everybody's good. So based on everybody's skill set, what type of shots are going to happen.
Yeah. True.
So I think you see some of that, especially if you're playing 72 games or whatever it might be. Like that's one of the things they tell everybody, or at least the vets tell like the young people, like this is a long season, man. Like you can't get too crazy, right all the way, because you're gonna burn out like halfway through the season and then not have anything to build up to. So it's almost like the first half of the season, everybody's learning everybody's tendencies, and they're still competing and winning. If you have a better team, you're just gonna blow people out. But like, everybody's learning, and then the second half of season, now it's like now we're really competing
after All-Star break.
Yeah, now it's time to really get to work. It seems like so. Like I think you're seeing a little bit of that right now. People are like, I don't really care, but like you find the next game when they play. Like for example, when we played College of Idaho, we lost to them by 2. And we played terribly. Like to be honest, we played really bad. We had a lot of turnovers. We didn't walk into the situation executing the game plan. We just went out there and played, expecting it to be like how it was when we played 3D1s back to back to back. The game was called way tighter. We couldn't adjust. So we ended up losing by 2 to that team, right? The next game, literally the next day we played him, we were up 20 after the first quarter, up 30 at halftime.
That's
you know what
crazy.
I mean? So it's like a polar opposite, but we figured out like what it took for us to like just compete the whole time and not worry about everything else. Yeah. Okay. So I think you're gonna see some of that that happens when you get those back to backs.
Yep. Very cool. I couple things before we close out or whatever. But the biggest thing I wanted to talk about just us as black men just sitting here talking about this stuff. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I saw it on some of my social media, and it's gaining more and more steam because a lot of celebrities are endorsing it. It's an online bank, Greenwood Bank.
Haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's first black online bank. You know, that's typically exactly right. There's a lot of obviously online bank. I mean, cryptocurrency and online banking is pretty much the norm. It's the future. You know, brick and mortar banks, which is like the Chase, the bank, U.S. banks, Wells Fargo's, things like that. They're not going to go away, but they are becoming less relied on. It's becoming more about credit unions and online banks. And you know, you got investment apps like Acorns, Wealthfront, Betterment, like all these stuff. Like even I have a few online banks that I put my money in, you know what I mean, because of the interest. Well, basically Killer Mike, Jesse Williams.
You've been talking about that for a while.
Yeah, a lot of other prolific black celebrities. They created it's in the works right now. It's about to be created, called Greenwood Bank.
Oh, okay.
And I actually
I trust
signed up to get my account, to get my check-ins account or whatever, because that's what they're doing right now. It's not finalized yet, but it is in the pre-process, and they have a bunch of people ready to sign up, and it's a bank geared for the black and Latin community. Nice. So I just thought that was just a big deal to talk about. That's know what I mean? Definitely us as black men and the culture just doing something positive like that.
Well, did you hear about Master P and Baron Davis gonna buy out Reebok?
Yeah.
First black owned, first Master P and BD. Mm-hmm. They're gonna be the first black people to own shoe company.
Yeah,
like that. Reebok,
and splash for Killer Mike. But
they've been talking about that for a while. Like I talked about it all the time. Like when the government was giving, or people were investing in black businesses, they said we're gonna give $100 million here or $7 million here. I'm like, all right, that's dope, but where's our infrastructure so that we know that it can be generational? Mm-hmm. And I could not find where we had no financial institutions. We don't have groceries.
I think there's one black bank in Southern California. It's One United, I think, because I looked that up too. That's it. That's it.
Wow. Man. And I'm like, we got to have stuff that allows the money to come in and stay in that community for whatever people need to come in and use those dollars. And that's been my biggest thing, is when I heard all that stuff, I said, that's dope that they're getting the money, but are we going to get it and just give it back because we know the dollar doesn't stay very long? Or are we going to build infrastructure that allows these dollars to stay in for a long time? Are we going to build transportation services, hospitals, things like that services the communities that we need? You know what I mean? So like, I didn't see a whole lot of it, but it's good that that's starting to happen.
Yeah,
and that's what
absolutely.
I'm
it looks like Killer Mike and some of them have now created the start. They started in Catalyst, so applaud to them, big time. So respectfully disrespectful. I only had one topic, and we alluded to it earlier. It was about offers, right? Offers. We know some of you parents and kids listen to our show, which is great. Keep doing that. Even though I definitely know I have a lot of color commentary, but the biggest thing is what constitute a college offer, because I think, like we were talking about before the show, some of you parents and some of you kids are very confused on what an offer is, or even how that necessarily plays out, because and how colleges perceive you when you post on your social media the 30 different offers you got. You know what I mean? And just because you receive an email from a coach doesn't mean that's an offer. Correct. Just because your whatever it be, your recruiting company or your AAU coach put you on the phone with a assistant, the third assistant college coach at UC Davis, doesn't mean you got an offer. I mean, it's. I just figured, especially you, Ted, because we were all talking about that earlier. Let's talk about what an offer is, or how's that constituted.
Yeah, so it's different levels. Everybody has the way that they do it. I know if we tell you that you have a spot on our roster, that is an offer. Like, we want you to be a part of our team. Mm-hmm. You've came up for a visit, or you go like unseen or whatever. We really like your game. You have a roster spot. If you decide to come to us, like, that is an offer. We're literally saying you have a roster spot if you choose to come. If somebody's like, I like your game, you're a really good player, you could work on these things, that is not an offer.
Even though people will say it is.
That is conversation.
They'll put it. They'll make a graphic, that nice little graphic, or make a nice little, offer from,
that's
Boise State all of a sudden. Like.
So I view it like this, and I'm sure because again, I've understood now coming back into this whole thing, everybody kind of has their way of doing it, but like, there's interest, right? So like, me getting to know who you are, I'm interested in your game. You are a 6'2" shooting guard. Like, I like you. You're a really good player. Right. Then there's being recruited, which is like, we're starting to have the conversation. You're on my like rotation of like either texting or calling, or I'm giving you information about the school. You're telling me about yourself, how we fit into this whole thing. We're developing a relationship. That's the recruitment process, right? And then we get you on a visit, all that other stuff. In the eye level, there's no such thing as like officials, because the institution can't pay for stuff, and it's just a bunch of extra stuff. But like NCAA, it's a little different, right? So you get your 5 visits, you can go on it, the institution pays for all of it. Everything else is unofficial, so people don't know, like some people don't know, but you visit Division I schools, you only get 5 of those things, right? So you go on those 5, that's it. Everything else is an unofficial,
right?
So they know, okay? And so if the coach is like, yeah, we like you, want you to be a part of if you decide to take it, then they draw up the paperwork, and here you go. There's your national letter of intent. You sign it at the national signing day, because for NCAA, it's different than for NAIA. NAIA is just like a promise that we're going to give you the scholarship dollars. That's what it is. But for NCAA, it's a national letter of intent. It's like, it's a legal document. Right?
Well, that's good. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Make that clear so parents can understand what a letter of intent is. So that's good.
It's legally binding.
Yeah.
So we, for us, it's more of like, well, we want you to be on this team. We have the discount on education that works for you or not. I don't really know, but we want you to be a part of us. So that is an offer from us. Now, some people may look at that differently and say, whatever, that's how we do it. Right. So everybody, I would talk to the coach about like, hey, do you see me as a part of your team? Yes or no, right? And that kind of skews the conversation to be more of like, okay, are you going to eventually give me one or not?
Right.
Because if the coach is like, I like your game, but we have other people in front of you, because one, we just been recruiting people before we talked to you, right? There's if you're a shooting guard and we have 100 people in that position, like you're 101, doesn't mean that's where you are in the depth. It just means that we've been recruiting people. We've been doing our job, right? So I don't want parents or kids to think like you're not important, you are, but in the depth, as far as everything, when they met you, you might be 101 of 100 that they're talking to. Now, the depth of conversation, your grades, how you play, what specifically you do, how not even highly you're like talked about, or because everybody's selling at some point to them. But like, I'm more interested in, are you going to stay, and are you going to slow practice down or not? Because a lot of schools, they'd be like, look, we don't want you to be a part of it because you're slowing our practices down. We're trying to win a national championship, and we're having to take extra time to tell you what to do and how to do it. We don't want you, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? So, but it's really important that an offer, if a coach, a head coach in particular, says, we want you to be a part of our team, not the assistant coach saying, I really think you could be a part of this. That's different, right? The head coach has to say like, hey, I want you to be a part of our team, because that's the person that signs off on it at the end of the day. They report to the AD, all the other stuff. Yeah. Then at that point, you can say that's an offer from that school, So like there's so many gray areas with it, because you would say, well, the assistant coach really likes me. Yeah, great. But they have to report to the head coach. Yeah. And the head coach has to sign off on it, saying like, yeah, I think this kid's going to help us out or not. So that's what an offer is. And so for me personally, and we were talking about this earlier, like, look, I love the process. Like, I love it. I think everything should be celebrated. I just know for me personally, I want to celebrate the next part of your journey, which means that we did our job in the high school. So if you're committed to a place or signed, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to post that, because that means that we've done our work, and out of respect for the other schools that are talking to you. Right? Okay. So that was, you probably alluding to this, but that's probably one of the things. Like, if there's 4 or 5 schools, depending on what school is talking to who, like if I know, let's say Stanford is talking to the same girl, probably not going to get her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
but at the same time, we don't know what's important to that young lady. Like, Stanford might be dope, but like that might not be important for her. Like, she might want to go to this school, to Jessup. Now, that's an extreme example.
Right.
But like, it kind of works that way a little bit. Like, if there's two schools that are kind of similar, but one's been marketed better than the other ones, but I've never gone on a visit to that other one, I'm going to visit that school and see what it's about, because I have a relationship with the coach. We've talked for the last 3-4 months or 2-3 years, whatever it might be. Like, I'm developing a relationship that's quality. I actually want to be interested in that school. And I might end up going to that one versus the one that's bigger time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, like, I think that's important for the parents to understand, and kids. Like, it is about fit, 100%. And I heard somebody say it, never, ever not take a phone call. Like, always talk to every single coach.
Right.
Because you don't know what the school is about. It might be the best academic school that can set you up for success the rest of your life. And because you see it's a D2 that's in the middle of nowhere, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. It might be the best school for you. You just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that's important. So as far as the offer thing, like, an offer is if the head coach tells you, general rule of thumb, if a head coach is telling you, we want you to be a part of our team, we have a roster spot for you. If you decide to come, you can 100% say that's an offer from the school. Go crazy. You know what I'm saying? But like, if they don't say that and the assistant coach is like, I really like you, I think you can play for us, please don't post. You're about to get me fired. No, do not post that at all.
I'm glad you
don't make no graphics. Don't hit up nobody talking about, no, don't do none of that.
Because I do feel there's a lot of, on the AAU side of it, I feel there's a lot of AAU coaches that try to take advantage of those type of things because most of my connections are mainly like assistant coaches, you know, because they're usually guys around my age that are trying to work their way up through the system. Because I know, and I'm glad I have connections with those guys, because eventually they will become head coaches, and then I will have those reports with them, just like your guy at Skyland Prep. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's but I'm very aware of that. That's why I never sit there and be like, oh, I got this kid an offer here. I didn't get him shit, because I didn't talk to a head coach. If I talk to a head coach and that head coach says,
like, oh, I like him, I want him on my team.
If they say to me like, hey, Chris, I really fuck with this guy. The head coach from Lewis and Clark hit me up about Anthony, and I had to tell him like, yeah, you can hit him up, but he ain't gonna be eligible. He ain't gonna be eligible. But you know, that's a head coach giving me like the green light to say, nah, we're giving this kid an offer. But there are a lot of AAU coaches, I think, out there that try to manipulate those type of situations.
And there's a lot of gray area with it. There's a lot of misinformation and not enough information being passed along. And I think that could be something that could be talked about a whole lot more, just like understanding what is and what isn't. And again, it is a business at that level and at this level. So we are all trying to help promote our kids the most as we can. Right. And we're also trying to attract new people. We're recruiting all the time. Right. So fortunately for a club like YBA, it's all in house already. There's like a farm system. But like for a lot of other clubs who don't have the 400 kids or whatever, like you have to recruit all the time. And so that is a good thing. If you see like somebody's getting offered from another school or whatever it is, or from that club, and they're consistently getting promoted and coaches are talking to them, like, if I'm a kid I want to go to play in college, I might go and check them out, you know? Right. So I'm not against any of that. Me personally, I'm not going to do it, because my understanding and the relationship that I respect, that they're having conversations with the kids and getting to know them more, like they can go deeper into that conversation if there's no pressure from those outside influences. And that's just me personally. But that could be 100% wrong, and I might be doing it wrong. And, you know, somebody might be like, well, no, you need to do it this way.
Right.
That's cool. But, you know, just out of respect for the other coaches and other programs, you know, to give them the chance to do that. So,
well, ain't no wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do my shout outs real quick before we wrap up. Wanted to say, give a shout out and, you know, hope they're winning and having a good time. There's AAU basketball going on in Arizona this past weekend right now. I forget the tournament. I think it's Made Hoops or something like that. But Courtney's out there. Courtney and Aja. They're doing the Lady Soldiers. Yeah, they're doing the Lady Soldiers. So definitely want to give them a shout out. I hope that's going well with you guys. You know, the hardest thing to do is win on the road, especially in AAU, because it's basically all-star team against all-star team. So, you know, hope that's going well. And then Jada, definitely have to give
good job, Jada.
Give a splash to Jada. Give a couple for her. She was out there killing it. She
splashing.
Exactly. She was out there splashing, having a good breakout game. In case you guys don't remember, Jada was on the show. She goes to Portland State. Please go check that episode out if you're curious. What was that episode 3? Yeah, 3. Episode 3. She wins 6 for 8 from 3, right? 20 points.
20 points started too.
Yeah. Hey. So, I'm congratulations, Jada. Very proud of you. Shout out obviously from everybody here. Tet, myself, and Mark and Ty. We all are very proud of you, and keep grinding this season out because it's still pretty even early in the college season, right? So, go out there and keep doing your thing. Any other thoughts, Mark, or anything like that?
No. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
2021.
Everybody.
Yeah, we made it, right? So, again, just want to say thank you to everybody who's listening and keep supporting, because the good part is we do have a lot of people that are listening and supporting, because I'm looking at the numbers and it ain't like it's 0 every month. I was sharing with Ty and Mark not too long ago the average U.S. podcast, because there's a lot more coming out more and more, but the average U.S. podcast gets anywhere from 160 to 170 downloads a month. Our lowest month of downloads was 380. That was our lowest month. Our highest month, I think, was like almost 1,000. No, almost 1,000, like 800, 900, something like that. So
moving on up.
Yeah. So, obviously we're teetering somewhere around that 400 range as far as our average downloads per month, and that's honestly without us being the most consistent, because every weekend it's hard for us to always necessarily get together. But no, thank you for those who are listening and downloading and just giving feedback. I know I get feedback. I'm sure Mark does. I know Ty does. Thank you again for coming on the show. I figured this would be great to have someone who was our first guest be the starter of our new year.
Once a year, I don't mind doing it.
Yeah, once Marcellus couldn't make it, I was like, Ted would be a great fit for this one. So I'm glad to have you here and have your updates. Mark, you got anything to add?
No, we out.
All right, man. Hope everybody's safe. Again, smash, destroy, incinerate, annihilate.
Chris, stop.
I'm trying to figure out that like button. It helps with the algorithm.
Chris, stop.
I'm trying to come up with some good words here, man.
Not working.
Thank you for my unofficial sponsor, Hennessy. You helped me through the show. You helped me through the show.
Every time I'm on the show, you got something crazy.
But no, so in a serious note, man, I hope everybody's safe out there. Stay safe from COVID. We know basketball is in a tough spot right now for you youth guys and girls, so hang in there, please. Hopefully by the month of February, things will be going out for you. I don't think there's a high school season, but the great part is you do have an AAU season. So look forward to that. Look forward to your clubs. My YBA people are out there listening. We're trying to figure it out too. Stay strong, stay safe, and I guess we are out.